Hi guys, I'm Kayla and welcome back. Today I'm going to be switching this allocation over from the soil in which it came to Leca. So I get a lot of questions about what Leca is, what the benefits are, where you get it, and why you should switch to it. So I'm here to answer all of those questions.
Leca stands for Lightweight Expanded Clay Aggregate. It's a popular substrate commonly used in hydroponic and semi-hydroponic gardening. It's made up of little clay balls that retain water and release it to the plant's roots as needed.
This is a bag of Leca. I got it from IKEA actually for like $6. It does cost a tiny bit more up front, but Leca is actually reusable. All you got to do is wash, rinse, repeat, literally. So while again, you are spending a little bit more up front, it's never going to go bad.
Because Leca only releases water as needed, you're less likely to over or underwater. It's also inorganic, so when used and maintained properly, your chances of pest problems also decrease. This can result in healthier, happier plants.
So I've got a million plants, 232 to be exact. It really simplified the watering routine for me, and it allowed me to monitor the rooting system without having to take it out of the pot. The number one reason I switched to Leca, fungus gnats. I'm not going to say you don't have pest issues with Leca, but I haven't had pest issues with Leca. Let's go see what nightmare lies beneath this cheap, mossy material. Let's do surgery. My husband has to stay in here just in case there's a bug in here. I'm scared. Okay. I don't see anything crazy at the bottom, so it's not root bound or anything like that. You see that? I wish people would like be quiet in the background. I think it's in pretty good shape. So I'm just gonna get as much dirt off right now as I can. And then we can rinse it off. Now what I'm gonna do is actually rinse as much dirt off as I can now. I like to use a little toothbrush if it's like really crazy, but I don't think this is gonna be a problem. I highly recommend doing this outside. I am not responsible for your plumbing bill when you get it, okay? This is a little pot that it came in. I'm gonna take it over to the sink and clean it out real good. All clean.
Prior to using Leca, it needs to be sterilized. I like to boil mine, but you can simply add a capful of bleach to some water or a half water, half hydrogen peroxide mix.
Another important thing to note is keeping the Leca clean. Do you see that? You see that? Well, that's due to me not keeping the Leca clean. While I wait on my Leca to boil and my roots to kind of dry a bit, I'm gonna go ahead and make my nutrient solution.
Soil contains the necessary nutrients for our plants. Since we are now removing the soil, we need to add the nutrients back into the substrate. This is done by adding it in liquid form into the reservoir.
When I started switching my plants to Leca, I realized I had to somehow become a chemist. It was giving like Breaking Bad vibes. You have to add nutrients to the actual water. I add a teaspoon of each of these into distilled water. I'm kind of lying because I use tap water sometimes. That actually seems easier, but it makes things a lot harder for me. Because I'm using tap water, I have to flush the system out way more often. The minerals from the tap water start to crystallize on top of the Leca balls. I use a line from General Hydroponics, but you can kind of look on Amazon and use whatever you like. This is a 3-part system, and on the back of each bottle, they have a basic applications table. I'm gonna use the general purpose, and I'm gonna use a teaspoon per gallon. So I'm gonna go ahead and make a gallon and I'll use the rest for something else later. There is a part that's important to remember. If you're using general hydroponics, I don't know about everybody else, you have to use the Flora Micro first just because otherwise there's some sort of nutrient lock. I don't know. I just follow the instructions. I am not a chemist. So get your handy dandy measuring spoon. I'm not gonna lie, I don't always measure it out, but I'm trying to set a good example here. And I only use this pitcher for my plant water so that my kids know, like, no, don't even think about it. I'm gonna get that in there. Ooh, ooh. Oh shoot, I need a spoon to mix it, hold on. I'm gonna use a little cheap straw because I don't wanna use my kitchen utensils for plant stuff. So we got a teaspoon. So we got a teaspoon of that one. Set that aside so I don't use it again. Teaspoon of that. Of the Flora Grow. Mix that up. And voila, we have our nutrient solution. Not too complicated, right? Whenever I transplant something for the first time, I like to use a little bit of this SuperThrive, and I just use like 1/8 of a teaspoon. And this just helps with transplant shock. It's got a lot of good stuff in it. It's very beneficial. I think the Leca's done. I don't want to use my Leca while it's piping hot. I want to wait until it gets to about room temperature. I've seen people soak their Leca overnight in the nutrient solution or in water. I don't do all that because to me, it's just doing too much. I don't need to do all that. Maybe I should, I don't know. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna fill about 1/3 of this up with Leca. It's good enough, I'll show you. Here we go. So I have it to about right here. Yeah, and I'm going to now place the plant in. I'm just gonna fill the rest with Leca. Get it all around there. I'm making sure all the roots are covered. You're gonna drop Leca, y'all. You're gonna drop the ball on this. Oh my gosh, I'm so funny. I'm so funny. We're gonna fill it on up, fill it on up. Now I can let go. I'm gonna let go of it. And you just wanna get it, make sure you're getting it all around. All around. Okay. Look at that. It's so cute. Ta-da! See that? Looks great. I'm gonna take my little decorative pot now. Make sure you be careful with these because sometimes the paint or acrylic or sometimes metal on the inside of the pot can corrode or rust or actually poison your plant. So be really careful about what type of cash pot you use. Now, so heavy. All right. So I'm gonna fill this up to about 1/3. I don't know what the actual measurements are. Basically fill it up to where it's just below the root system, not touching it. I put too much actually. All right, it's looking good. See that? Just liquid in a pot and you pop that right on in. Ladies and gentlemen, pat yourself on the back. Pat yourself on the back because you just converted a plant to Leca. I'm so proud. I am so proud of you. Now put it in a spot with bright, indirect light, not too bright. I have a tendency to kind of overdo stuff, so I put mine in a bright spot, but put it in a spot where it gets bright, indirect light, blah, 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 blah. Okay, we have a plant in Leca. Now, I don't want to scare you away by mentioning root rot. But let's be real here. It is a thing.
To prevent root rot, you want to make sure you clean off as much soil from your roots as possible. It's also a good idea to let your roots slightly dry before transplanting. Be sure that the plant's roots aren't sitting directly into the nutrient solution, and monitor the roots closely until you start to see clean water roots emerge. This process can take a few weeks.
You guys, thanks so much for joining me again on yet another video of me talking on and on about plants. I hope you got something out of today's video. If you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe. It's a free way you can help me out. And I'll see you next time. Who's about to clean this mess up?